During my home inspection, the contractor found a note saying, "Whoever lives here next will die exactly like I did." I froze in the empty living room, watching Gerald's face drain of color as he held a crumpled piece of paper between trembling fingers. "Where exactly did you find that?" My voice came out steadier than I felt, but my heart was already racing. Gerald pointed toward the basement stairs with a shaking hand, his usual confidence completely gone. "Taped under the third step." I was checking for structural damage when I saw the corner sticking out like someone wanted it found. He handed me the note, and the handwriting looked frantic, desperate, like someone had written it while fighting for their life. The paper was yellowed and brittle around the edges, but the words were crystal clear. They made it look like an accident, carbon monoxide leak. But I sealed myself in the bedroom when I figured it out. "Check the vents in the basement. They're watching from next door. Whoever lives here next will die exactly like I did. The real estate agent is in on it. Run before they know you found this. SK, October 15th, 2019. My hands started shaking as I read the date. That was exactly 4 years ago. And according to my realtor, the previous owner had died from an accidental carbon monoxide leak that same month. Gerald was already backing toward the front door, his contractor's instincts screaming danger. "We need to leave, right now. This isn't some prank or old ghost story." But something about the note felt wrong, like pieces of a puzzle that didn't fit together. Wait, if Sarah knew someone was trying to kill her and sealed herself in the bedroom, how did the carbon monoxide get to her? And why would she mention the real estate agent? Gerald stopped moving, his eyes darting between me and the basement door like he was calculating escape routes. Maybe she wrote the note before she figured out the real danger. Or maybe the carbon monoxide was just the cover story. We stood in the empty living room, both of us staring at that basement entrance like it might swallow us whole. The silence was deafening until we heard it. A soft scratching sound coming from below, rhythmic and deliberate, like fingernails dragging across wood in some kind of pattern. Gerald's tools crashed to the floor as he stumbled backward, his face going white. "There's someone down there, right now." The scratching stopped immediately, replaced by complete silence that felt somehow worse than the noise. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might burst as I pulled out my phone to call 911, but the screen showed no signal bars. The realtor had mentioned the house had dead zones due to the old construction, but my phone had worked perfectly fine outside just 20 minutes ago. "Gerald, does your phone work?" He checked his screen and shook his head, his face going even paler. "No bars, but it was working when I got here an hour ago." That's when we heard footsteps above us, slow and deliberate, moving across the second floor floorboards in a pattern that suggested someone familiar with the house layout. We weren't alone in this house, and whoever was up there had been waiting for us to find that note. Gerald grabbed the largest hammer from his scattered tools while I looked around desperately for anything that could be used as a weapon. The footsteps stopped directly above our heads, and I could swear I heard breathing through the ceiling, slow and controlled like someone listening to our conversation. "There's an attic access in the master bedroom," I whispered, remembering the floor plans my realtor had shown me. Someone could have been up there the whole time watching us. Gerald was already moving toward the front door, but when he grabbed the handle and turned, it wouldn't budge. The deadbolt was locked from the inside, and there was no key anywhere in sight. "Back door," he mouthed silently, pointing toward the kitchen. We crept through the house like we were walking through a minefield, every creak of the old floorboards sounding like gunshots in the oppressive silence that seemed to press down on us from all directions. The back door was also locked, but this time there was something else that made my stomach drop. Fresh scratches around the lock mechanism, like someone had been picking it recently, and small metal shavings on the floor that suggested the locks had been tampered with while we were inside. Gerald tried his shoulder against the door, putting his full weight behind it, but it didn't move even a fraction of an inch. "Windows," I whispered, but when we checked every single window on the first floor, they had all been painted shut years ago, the paint thick and deliberately applied to prevent them from opening. We were trapped in this house with whoever was upstairs, and they had made sure we couldn't escape. The footsteps started again, but this time they were coming down the stairs, slow and measured, each step echoing through the entire house like a countdown to something terrible. Gerald and I pressed ourselves against the kitchen wall, hidden from direct view of the staircase, but with absolutely nowhere to run if we were discovered. "The basement," I whispered desperately. "There might be another way out down there, maybe a bulkhead or old coal chute." Gerald shook his head violently, his eyes wide with terror. "That's where the scratching was coming from. That's where they want us to go." But the footsteps were getting closer, accompanied now by a soft humming that sounded almost cheerful, like someone who was genuinely enjoying themselves. We had no choice but to descend into the basement, and each step down felt like walking deeper into a trap that had been carefully prepared for us. Gerald's flashlight beam revealed something that made my blood freeze in my veins. Fresh camping gear in the corner, including a sleeping bag, food containers, battery-powered lantern, and what looked like surveillance equipment. Someone had been living down here, watching and waiting. How long have they been watching the house? Gerald's voice was barely audible, but in the silence it seemed to echo off the concrete walls. That's when I noticed something else that made me want to vomit. The walls were covered with photographs, hundreds of them, all carefully arranged in chronological order. Photos of women, all alone, all in houses just like this one. And each series of photos ended with newspaper clippings about their deaths, accidental gas leaks, electrical fires, carbon monoxide poisoning, structural collapses. And in the center of the wall, like a shrine, was a photo of me taken through my apartment window last week while I was making dinner. Above it, written in red marker, "Next. Full story on my channel and linked below."